All right, let's go through a few navigation topics that we didn't talk about in session one. You probably noticed on your classwork page that you have a Google Calendar link here and a class drive folder link. You also have a Meet link, which will take you directly to Google Meet for that link we set up earlier. The Google Class calendar here is, if you click on that, that's going to take you directly to your own personal calendar. Every time you create a Google Classroom, it is going to create a classroom calendar on your personal calendar. It will do the same for students. So we have to know that when students or yourself use this calendar, you do have the option to delete information off of the calendar. Okay, so if I find an event that is for my Google Classroom Next Steps, as a student, again, or a teacher, I can delete those events because this is my personal account. If I go back into Google Classroom and I go over here to our main menu, you will find a Google Calendar here as well. These are any assignments or essentially anything you post into Google Classroom that has a due date will show up here on this Google Calendar. And from here, students or yourself cannot delete anything off of this calendar unless it's deleted in Classroom itself. So if you delete the assignment, it will delete it from this calendar. This is essentially a direct link also to that assignment for both you and the students. Your class drive folder is a folder in your Google Drive that is made by Google by Google Classroom for you. When you create your first Google Classroom, it'll actually create this folder for you, as it does the students as well. There's no need, do not delete. What happens is I'm back in my original drive and I can see here, somewhere here, that I have a classroom folder. This is created again. Once you create a Google Classroom, this folder is automatically created for you in Google Drive. When you click on it, you'll open it and you will see every classroom that you have either created or been joined into, okay? And then under those, you also can toggle into those, and then you will see any assignments. So each assignment has its own folder in Google Classroom, and then any documents that might have not had a landing spot essentially yet. But by clicking on these, I will be able to open them and see the original assignment that I created and posted in Google Classroom. As you're grading, you'll also see students' work in here, but the minute you return that work to them, it will delete from your Google Classroom. Why I say don't delete this folder is because all your goodies are saved here. I tell students not to delete these folders because eventually they could go back and reuse an assignment or bring back something that maybe accidentally somewhere along the line got deleted or something, but it's always saving here in your Google Drive. It's kind of like that backup space. A newer feature in Google Classroom this summer came to review. So if you go back to your main menu, you will see this to review space. What this is a space where you're going to see from all of your classes. So it's going to default to all of your classes, any assignments that you have assigned out and things are not fully graded yet. So the big thing you want to look at when you're looking at this is this turned in space. So this example, I assigned it to 155 people. I've graded 26 of them. I still have 20 that have not turned in yet. Now these were teachers, so it was assigned to 155. They were not required to complete this assignment. So that's why I only see the 46 that have done it, which is fine. But this just tells me that there are still 20 that I've not graded yet. So I can click on this and it will take me directly into that assignment to do some grading. You're also going to find this back in the main menu under classes. You'll find this to review here as well. Now, instead of having a to review, students, this is a student account now, students have a to do account, which when they click on that, that will show them all their classes, or they can choose a class and they will see any assignments that they have that are up and coming, that are due for this week, next week, or later on. last little trick to show you is if you're not familiar with Google Chrome and their bookmarking system, bookmarking a Google Classroom for both you and your students is actually pretty handy. You can bookmark just one classroom, or I like to bookmark Google Classroom in general. So here I'm just on my main menu page for Google Classroom. If you go up here to the top, the URL or omnibar is what they call it, you can click on this blue star, and you can do this for anything that you would like to bookmark. And then you'll see it's gonna give it a name. You can rename this, keep it the same name, or you can just delete the name and all, because what that'll do is just leave you with the icon that's associated with this website. And you'll hit done. And what you'll need to make sure, because you don't see mine here, what we need to make sure is that you go into your bookmarks and show your bookmark bar. And when you click on that, now you see that I have this link to Google Classroom. So if I open up a new tab, close out, and from my bookmark bar, click on Google Classroom, this will take me directly to Google Classroom, which is just kind of a nice feature for both you and students to have there. So it's a quick in and out. You don't have to worry about going to Drive, going to your apps, and so on. So just a little tidbit. All right, and one last tip. I get asked all the time, how do I stop the notifications coming from Classroom to my email? So you might have joined into a classroom of another teacher and don't necessarily need those notifications coming to you, or just in general, you don't need Google Classroom notifications. You're gonna find this actually in your main menu. And when I scroll down here to settings, these are like the main settings for Google Classroom. In general, in the whole classroom, not just individual classrooms. I'll go to settings, and from here you have this receive email notifications. You can turn that on or you can turn it off. It's gonna probably be defaulted to off, but if for some reason you are getting those notifications, you'll have to come in here and turn it off. If you decide to turn them on, you do then have some options here of what kind of notifications you'd like to get. Maybe you do want some notifications, but you don't need a notification every time someone comments on a post or mentions you, or maybe you want that private comment on so that you know when a student comments privately to you. But these will all be found here under your main menu and settings.